The old oak tree loomed at the edge of the miller's backyard, its branches cradling a lonely treehouse. The rope ladder hung still, waiting for a climber who would never come. The wind whispered through the leaves, making the little structure creak. A sad, secret story in the dusk. Inside the Miller house, silence pressed in. A half-eaten bowl of cereal, a comic book on the floor. Reminders of the boy who should have been there. His name was Leo, 10 years old, wild brown hair, a smile that could light up the gloomiest day. His mother, Sarah, stood at the window, staring at the treehouse, her heart heavy with dread. She had called his name until her voice was raw, but only the leaves answered. The treehouse, once Leo's kingdom, now felt like a cage mysteriously emptied. The world had tilted and her son had slipped away into the shadows. A single lantern glowed in the treehouse, a lonely beacon for a boy who wasn't there to turn it off. The empty nest in the old oak tree waited, holding its breath as the night grew colder. The search for the boy who never came down was about to begin. The Miller family's world had changed in a single, silent evening, and the treehouse, once a place of dreams, now stood as a monument to a missing child. Mark Miller climbed the rope ladder, heart pounding, entering the treehouse he'd built with Leo. The air inside was still, filled with the scent of pencil shavings and bubble gum. Mark's eyes landed on Leo's sketchbook, open on a crate desk, a smooth stone holding down the page. He expected a superhero or a dragon. Instead he found a chilling drawing, the woods, trees like spiky fingers, and in the center a tall, thin figure with a blank oval face. Below it, Leo had written, "The Hollow Watcher." Mark's blood ran cold. This wasn't a comic book monster. The frantic lines, the faceless figure, it felt like a warning, not a fantasy. Mark tore the page from the sketchbook, the paper heavy with unspoken secrets. Was this a clue, a cry for help, or a glimpse into something Leo had truly seen? As Mark climbed down, the wind seemed to whisper through the leaves, carrying the name of the Faceless Watcher. The mystery of Leo's disappearance had begun, and its first clue was a picture of pure fear. The drawing was more than a nightmare. It was a message. The woods behind their home had never seemed darker. Mark clutched the drawing, knowing the search had changed. Whatever had taken Leo, it had left a mark. Whispering Pines was a town wrapped in mist, its pine trees looming over quiet streets. Life here was slow, safe, until Leo vanished. The mist felt heavier, the woods more menacing. Parents gripped their children's hands tighter, doors were locked, voices hushed. The woods, once a playground, now seemed to hide secrets. Leo's disappearance shattered the town's sense of safety. The forest bordering the Miller's home was ancient, full of old stories and new fears. The legend of the Hollow Watcher crept into every conversation. The town held its breath, waiting for answers that never came. The woods had swallowed a boy, and left only fear behind. The search began with neighbors and friends, flashlights cutting through the mist, voices calling Leo's name. Search teams combed the woods, every shadow a possible clue, every silence a threat. Missing posters appeared everywhere, Leo's smile a constant silent plea. Days passed, hope faded, but volunteers kept searching, driven by stubborn hope. The woods offered no answers, only echoes. Leo seemed to have vanished without a trace. The forest kept its secrets, and the town's grief deepened. On the 8th day, a volunteer found Leo's blue backpack tangled in roots by Blackwood Creek. The superhero keychain was unmistakable. Inside, a half-eaten bag of chips, a water bottle, a compass, and several hand-drawn maps. The maps were strange, paths, trees, and odd symbols, spirals, crosses, eye-like shapes. One map marked an X deep in the Whispering Glade, a place locals avoided. Why would Leo map the woods with such detail and strange symbols? The map suggested Leo had gone into the woods willingly, on a mission of his own. Was he tracking something, or being tracked? The symbols echoed the drawing of the Hollow Watcher. The backpack was a clue, but the maps only deepened the mystery. The investigation was pulled further into the unknown. The woods seemed to hold a secret world, one only Leo could see. The search for answers grew more desperate. With the backpack found, suspicion turned to those around Leo. Mr. Abernathy, the reclusive neighbor, was curt and uncooperative, seen watching the Miller house at twilight. Frank, the school janitor, had shown interest in Leo's drawings, and was seen near the woods the night Leo vanished. Leo's uncle David, desperate for money, had recently argued with the family. Each man had a possible connection, a reason, however thin, to be involved. The town's fear and paranoia grew, suspicion binding these men together. The police searched for rational answers, but nothing fit. The suspects denied involvement, but the shadow of doubt lingered. The investigation became a web of secrets and suspicion. The Miller family's pain deepened as trust eroded. The town's sense of safety was gone. The real answer remained hidden, somewhere between fear and folklore. The mystery only grew. As police focused on suspects, another theory spread. An old legend whispered through generations. The Watcher in the Woods, a tall, faceless entity said to appear to children who wandered too far. Leo's drawing matched the legend exactly. Old stories resurfaced, strange sounds, glimpses of a tall figure, a feeling of being watched. The symbols on Leo's maps were seen as wards or trackers. The woods became the Watcher's domain, fear deepening with every retelling. The police dismissed it as superstition, but the legend explained what evidence could not. The town's fear shifted from human evil to something older, stranger. The Hollow Watcher was no longer just a story, it was a possible answer. Leo's disappearance became part of the town's oldest, darkest tale. Years passed, but the shadow of Leo's disappearance never left Whispering Pines. The case went cold, suspects faded from suspicion, but the pain remained. Then, 5 years to the day after Leo vanished, a new drawing appeared on the town notice board. It was Leo's style: trees, the old oak, the abandoned treehouse. In the drawing, a small figure stood in the treehouse, and below, the Hollow Watcher waited, faceless and tall. No words, just the chilling image. The town was thrown back into fear and confusion. Was it a cruel prank, or a message from Leo himself? The police found no clues, no fingerprints. The drawing reopened old wounds, the mystery alive again. The legend and reality blurred. The Watcher's presence felt closer than ever. The Miller family's hope and grief reignited. The town's fear returned, sharper than before. The story was not over. The new drawing transformed Leo's case from a memory to a living mystery. The police reopened the file, but answers remained elusive. The town lived with uncertainty. The story of Leo and the Hollow Watcher, now a modern legend. The empty treehouse stood as a monument to loss. Some nights, a faint light flickered in its window, as if hope, or something else, remained. Was Leo taken by someone he knew, or by something from the old stories? The drawings, the fear, the legend, none offered closure. The truth waited, silent and unseen, somewhere in the misty woods.